Hi everyone. If you're new to my channel, welcome, and if you're returning, welcome back. I've decided to do something a little bit different. This is the third reading of this year that I'm about to start, and I wanted to just quickly say something about the new year 2020, which is to do with ending karmic cycles and the beginning of a whole new new year, a whole new decade, and a whole new 35-year cycle. And this is all related to Saturn currently transiting Capricorn, and some really very strong Capricorn energies, which is to do with has a lot to do with karma and the ending of karmic cycles. And so 2020 is really quite a significant year. You can look this up, research it more for yourself. But 2019 was very much about learning lessons, maybe putting ends to certain things, weren't for your highest good. And then 2020 is more about how you set the tone for the next 35-year cycle. And I know and understand a lot of people are having, quite a lot of challenges and difficulties at the moment, completing karmic cycles, and starting, if you like, new. So the best thing to do is really pray for anyone who's going through a difficult time right now. And what I've decided to do is to take an astrology sign out of this tin, and we'll go from there. Let's have a look. Oh gosh, no, yeah. So it's Gemini, and funny enough, I was going to read for Gemini before having done what I thought was fair by taking one out, and Gemini turned up. So there, and I thought I'd share that with you. So Gemini it is, and I hope you're all doing well, Geminis. And I need to also stress at the beginning, this is a general read, so it's not going to, or it can't possibly, resonate with every single Gemini, but there could be things that do resonate with you, other things that don't resonate, but to take it and apply it to your circumstances. And as I said before, as I say it again, don't force anything. If it doesn't resonate, doesn't feel right, you don't have to take it on board. So just to get that one cleared up. Now I'm going to adjust the camera so you can watch the cards as I shuffle and deal them. Excuse me. And I've already meditated over the deck, and I shall try and keep this reading a little bit shorter than the recent ones, which have, one of them exceeded an hour, I think. Pisces read and Aries about 50 minutes. So anyway, I hope you're all doing well, and if you've had colds and feeling run down from the Christmas New Year season, I hope you're feeling better. I've been feeling slightly under the weather myself, probably because I haven't been spending enough time with myself recently, having enough time to meditate, having enough time for solitude, which is often extremely important practice. Oh, okay. Right. Chariot is nice. Chariot. Gemini. Also, this is Gemini Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. And I say at the beginning of most of my readings, then for you to find out where your Moon, Rising, and Venus signs are, because that, you know, sometimes their Sun sign reading doesn't resonate particularly, and your Moon or Rising or Venus sign might resonate also, or equally, or in some way. So, oops, okay, this one wants to come out, so out you come. Ah yes, Aries had this yesterday, Judgment. Oh, Strength. I think Aries had that too yesterday. This is a 10-card spread. It's in the style of the Celtic cross. Excuse me. Gemini need to know. What does Gemini need to know for the highest good? Gemini. Okay. Bottom of the deck. Page of Pentacles. Okay, I'm going to put that up here. Right. Let's make a start, Gemini. Okay, right. Your issue here. Excuse me. King of Pentacles. Now, King of Pentacles is usually connected to earthly matters, connected to stability, money, stability, personal security, and it seems that your significant issue is to do with, this is either your energy, Gemini, that you're in a situation to do with your issue being about your finances, about your material success. It's also to do with having, it's represented by Taurus and Virgo and Capricorn, and it's to do with having attained not just a degree of stability and comfort and material success, but it also is linked with wisdom and knowledge, and being grounded, or feeling quite grounded and secure. And you have the Chariot as your general environment, and the Chariot is a card associated with Cancer, and Chariot is often pertains to forward movement. Forward movement can be to do with your career, it could be to do with your stability, it could be to do with being linked to the sign of Cancer. It can sometimes mean that forward movement is not entirely direct. It can mean that you have an idea of where you want to go, but like the crab, this could be sideways, it could not be entirely in a straight line, but yeah, it does mean forward movement. So it could be that there's even a move in your environment. You might be moving, you might physically be moving house, job, career, relationship. It could be that there's a movement in any particular how it resonates area of your life. As I said, this is a general reading, so there's some kind of movement, and it can be as simple and basic as moving house or moving job. And because it's connected with this, which is about your stability, material world, finance, security, there could be some movement into some other thing, and it could be a work situation, it could be you're moving house, it could be something to do with your family, you might even be going to visit or going on a journey to visit someone or someone in this energy. They could be that you could be moving towards someone who's very stable, like a King of Pentacles, secure person, and you could be moving to or away from obstacles that you are facing. It's choices. So the cups are represented by the water signs of Cancer, Scorpio and Pisces, and these choices are often to do with your feelings, choices and how you feel about them. This comes up in your obstacle sector, and it might be that there's choices you need to make, which would be quite relevant to now, because I think as we've entered the new decade, we are in a place where we are looking forward at the year ahead. We've kind of in a place where we've put the last, sort of the cycles of the last possibly as long as 15 years behind us, and we're looking at what's coming up next. Coming out of karmic cycles and having choices ahead of you. And it could be that how you feel about these choices might be causing obstruction or obstacles, because if you look at this card closely, there's lots of offers here. There's lots of offers, and not all of them are that favourable. Some of them are, some of them aren't. So, and you could be facing obstacles in how you feel about making decisions with your heart, from a heart-based decision making. How you feel about decisions that are on offer to you. You might have many choices here, or you might have looked at your options, and this could be relating to a love situation, and you're noticing that perhaps the choices are so varied, and you're unsure of which one that you want to take. Could be a possibility. Now, in your ideal here, the ideal situation is judgment. Now, this could either be that you're making a judgment call on what it is you feel is right for you, what it is you feel is the right choice. And you could be making a judgment call on the options available, or this can also pertain to God's judgment. Maybe you are ending karmic cycles. Maybe you're in a position where you've been forced to make some judgment calls on where you go from here, where you're headed to, what your options are, what's available to you, how you feel about the choices you have. And you're having to be in a place of making clear judgment. And this wouldn't be a heart over head decision. It would be usually a rational decision based on your logic. Or perhaps you're in a position where you feel as if your judgment has been obscured. Perhaps you haven't clearly been looking at what your options are. Not being able to see which one is good for you and which one isn't. And that you have to make a very clear judgment. But since this is in your obstacle sector, it looks as if choices are a problem for you at the moment, and not knowing which one or which way or which option is better for you. And this is a card of discernment too. It's about being discerning. You know, not all that glitters is gold. We know that, and it could be that there are options being presented to you, and you need to be discerning about which one you choose, which is going to require some very clear judgment. This can also pertain to being judged as well. Other people judging you, feeling a sense of being judged by people around you in the case of you making choices. You might be moving away from something and now looking at other options that you have and needing to be discerning and have clear judgment. Or it could be that while you're making decisions or seeing what your options are, there might even be some outside influences. You might be concerned about other people's judgment. That. Now, ideally, the situation you're in right now, however this resonates, requires strength. Now, this could pertain to also, this is the card that represents Leo, the astrological sign of Leo. It could be you needing to have a great deal of strength. Perhaps you're looking at moving away from something or moving forwards into something. You're faced with these options here. How do you feel about certain things in your life? Looking with discernment about the choices that are available. Having clear judgment. Needing clear judgment before you proceed. Carefully discerning what your options are. And this could relate to a love situation, that you have options here. And you haven't got to enough of a clarity You could be moving away from or moving to. Some kind of stability you might have had, or that you might still have, or someone in your environment has this energy. But it looks to me as if you're needing to move forwards, or make some kind of move towards making some decision about what your options are going to be in the next, at least the next few weeks, the next few months. And the situation requires strength, so the advice you can use right now is to be strong. And I know how that can sound quite repetitive. Oh, you need to be strong in this situation. Oh, be strong, be strong. And sometimes it can feel quite wearing to keep feeling and being strong. Especially if you're faced with choices and some kind of movement, moving away or moving to something. You could be releasing yourself from something, moving away from something that didn't serve you, or moving towards something better. Then your options are not entirely clear, and you need to apply some clear judgment to the situation and strength in order to make any decisions presented to you. Now, in recent past, Gemini, you have been possibly too focused on the things you've lost, where you might have just lost out on something. Maybe you were it could be, generally, the cards generally pertain to love and the emotions and how you feel. And it could be that you have looked at or you're focusing too much on what hasn't been a success, what hasn't worked out for you. And because you're focusing too much on what's been lost, this figure looks like he's in mourning, looking at, in a kind of stance of grief, looking at what's been lost. And then in doing that for too long, or in staying in this energy for too long, you're neglecting to see what you have that's not been spilled, that has not been lost, what you still have left to give or to receive. Perhaps that's been keeping you a little bit stuck. But you have justice on your side, and this is your current, if you like, the energy and action now. Perhaps there's been a call for justice. Perhaps you've been in a situation where you've been wanting justice over a situation. Perhaps you feel and sense some justification in a situation, or that you aspire to recognizing justice being served in a situation. Perhaps you've been in a situation when you felt unfairly treated. Perhaps you feel that there was imbalance in your life, in any particular situation, how it resonates, and you require justice, or you could even at the moment be seeking justice for something that could have even transpired in the last 2019. As I said before, 2019 has been, I would say, notoriously difficult year for a lot of people who, as 2019 was about learning lessons and going through certain experiences. And justice could be the thing that you seek from possibly maybe something that had occurred in the last 12 months, 2 years, however that resonates, and you feel as if the situation you're in right now, that you are obtaining justice, or justice is what you seek, and that could be your main focus right now, or justice has been served on a situation that you have been involved with. Now, your attitude in relation to the King of Pentacles, stability, security, material success, wealth, finance, moving away, moving to or away, making decisions about choices, being offered, which is proving to be an obstacle because you might be in a place of indecision and you need to be more discerning and have some clear judgment in doing so. And the moon here, which is a card that's also related to Pisces and Cancer, I believe. The moon energy is about, well, it can be secrets, it can be lack of clarity, not seeing the situation for how it really is, and it could literally be that you want to make some kind of forward movement. You're in the, this card is you're in the chariot ready to go kind of card. You need to take some action, either to something or away from something. Can be related to your finance and security, material world, having choices, having to make some possibly sometimes difficult choices that require strength, with clear judgment, and there's confusion perhaps relating to this, which it could be, which is why perhaps you can't, you're feeling stuck about making some choices that need to be made, and you need discernment, and there could be confusion relating to this, and if there's confusion relating to this, then of course it does make it more difficult, and when there's confusion, of course, you know, you have to be strong of mind, strong of spirit, strong within yourself. And Leo, this card for Leo, so it's, and this, you can see how much yellow, this is a good positive card, but in situations like this, of not being able to make decisions, or having to be very discerning, making judgment calls, seeking justice or looking for justice in a situation, focusing too much on what you've lost as opposed to what you still have. The strength card here, of course it would apply that you need to be strong, but when there's confusion in the mix with these three here about making forward movement choices available, and the moon card is suggesting confusion, secrets, sometimes things that aren't entirely clear to you, of course making decisions and making any movement to or from a situation it's a lot more difficult when you haven't got, you know, the clear full picture. Now you have the Three of Wands here, which is fire energy, which is Leo, Sagittarius and Aries. And the Three of Wands is about having the confidence, usually, to look to the future, to look ahead. And this figure here is not looking back, you see, it's looking ahead. This figure is looking very focused, in a very focused way ahead, and has 3 staves, 3 wands already, and is in a stance where, let's say, there's no interest for this individual to look back, and the focus is entirely to do with where you go from here. Now, it could also mean that someone has turned their back on you and is looking in a completely different direction. It could be someone else's energy, it might not be yours. And that person may have turned away from you and is looking out to new horizons. And it could mean that someone, you know, as it's an influence or something related to people and events, that there's something or someone who's walking away from you, or that you've made a judgment call. And you've been very strong. You know, you require justice. You were focusing too much on what you'd lost as opposed to what you still have. And the outcome of this, not the outcome, but the influences could be that someone's walking away from you, you're walking away from something or some job. It could be, however it resonates, you could be walking away from, you know, a job situation, a work situation, a relationship. You could be walking away from where you live. You know, you might be moving, you might be considering moving. And you had the Chariot here earlier. So you had the Chariot here. It just says your general environment, movement. It could be that you're moving away from something, or that someone's moving away from you, or that you're starting something new even. You'll just put some things behind you and you're going to start on some other new, entirely different mission, an entirely different thing. Now, in your hopes and fears, Gemini, you have the well, this is called a sneaky card. The sneaky card. You have 7 of Wands, 7 of Swords, and this pertains to, sometimes it's a card that pertains to you sneaking away from something, quietly walking away from something that might have been conflicting. The air energy, the Swords, Gemini, Libra and Aquarius, there's mental energy. It could be that you have been in some kind of mental conflict in a situation, and you're hoping to be able to just sneak away from it unnoticed with a few of your weapons and leaving the conflict behind you. Or it could be as simple as you wanting to just walk away from a job scenario that you don't like. So, you know, maybe you're walking away, maybe you turned your back on something and you're looking at a whole new direction, or that could be somebody who's done that with you. This also could be someone else's energy, that they're sneaking away from a situation that could have been mentally conflicting, or you were in a situation that you were feeling very, very much like leaving without saying. That I call the sneaky card, just disappearing with enough of your protection, but deciding to make a quick getaway. And you're fearing, it might be that you're fearing this may happen to you. It might be that you're fearing, if you do that, what your outcome would be. It might be that you don't feel you have many other options at this point, because you want justice in some kind of situation, and perhaps you're not even getting that. Perhaps that hasn't transpired at the moment, and so you're choosing to make an exit, justice or no justice. You already have the Chariot card here, which is about movement and choices. And your outcome, Gemini, is the Four of Pentacles. And the Four of Pentacles, of course, is Earth again. It's Gemini, sorry, blah, blah, Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo, Earth energy, and it's very much about protecting what you think is yours, what you feel is yours. Is protecting. I think Pentacles is like money, coins. You're standing on two of them, holding one closely to your chest and one on your head, and it's a bit combative, but it's a card that says you're protecting what you feel is yours. And this is interesting because you have this King of Pentacles here, which could be your energy, your stability. And if this relates to you, Gemini, as your own stability, and that you're feeling in a stable place, and you don't need that stability to be, let's say, upturned or jeopardized. The outcome is that you're very concerned about hanging on to what you believe is yours. And almost in a way protecting yourself. You're protecting your own, if you like, your stability, what you have created for yourself in terms of your own personal stability and security, and your outcome is to keep protecting that. And it could be, Gemini, that you have walked away from something, or just snuck away with something. Maybe there was no justice in a situation, and you've been very strong in dealing with, perhaps you've been dealing with quite a lot recently, moving away from something, knowing that there's decisions to be made with discernment, and not possibly being able to make them, looking too much into what the loss is here and not what you still have. In order to see things with more clarity, because you have the moon here and it's about being obscured. Truth, sometimes it's about the truth or the whole picture being obscured, and that there's some degree of confusion in relation to what your issue is here, which it looks as if it's to do with either your stability and material world of stability and security, or it could be someone in your environment who has this energy. And perhaps there has been a judgment call here. Ideally there should be, because this is in the ideal sector here, so that perhaps there needs to be a judgment call made. At the moment there could be a sense of, you're feeling a sense of justification. We need to see some justice transpire from a situation. There is here, there is some confusion, and a little bit of lack of clarity and looking ahead into distant horizons. You know, perhaps you know that that there's something better for you out there, and you're prepared to turn your back rather on the past in order to see what's ahead of you, which does require strength, especially if you're moving away from something or leaving something behind, especially if there's been difficulty in making decisions discerningly, and you felt that you were focused too much on the losses and not what you still have. And in many ways it would make sense that you might feel like you want to just slip away from a situation that's been conflicting, has caused you a lot of mental conflict, and you have a sense of needing to look after, protect and care for what you've worked for, your own stability, what your own stability and security. And perhaps this is all going to be related to some kind of movement, making good choices through using your discernment, getting out of focusing on what you've lost and focus on what you still have, because it's very important to do that. It's very easy for us to look back and say, oh, you know, I lost that, oh, that job didn't work out, this didn't work out, that didn't work out. And that's a dangerous mindset, because that is the past. And the past, yes, it is the past, and it helps to shape our future. But there's nothing we can do about that now. We can learn, we can take the lessons and learn, of course we can, which is very extremely valuable. But we also have to remember what we still have. We still get up every morning and breathe. We still get up every morning. We have, you know, the gift of life. We still get up every morning and do the things that we, you know, we are never completely defunct like these looks here. You know, we always have more in reserve, if you like. So to not focus on that, and to remember and turn around and to consider the things that you have. Anyway, Gemini, I hope that that's been helpful. I'm going to pull you am I? Yes, I am. I'm going to pull a rune for you. But before I do that, I wanted to use these Work Your Light Oracle cards. Extremely lovely and helpful, I find. And see if we can get you a little bit more help and guidance. Especially would like to put one here. And then let's see, a couple more cards please for Gemini before we read the rune card. So another card please for Gemini for guidance for the beginning of 2020. These are timeless reads, by the way, and they are applicable. One more. This is proving to be okay. 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 So what have we got? Just take one more. Please can we have one more card? Beautiful Geminis. Lovely Geminis. So let's see what we've got. Okay, thank you. Right. Now this came up upon movement in the decisions, obstacles, making decisions, discerning choices, making decisions with discernment. And you have leap. Leap. You go first, the universe will catch you. So Gemini, if you are in a place where you're making decisions and they're difficult and require a lot of your strength and judgment, a situation that requires justice, and there is confusion, it might be in a place where you feel a bit direction, you don't know exactly where you're going, but you've kind of walked away from something, or someone or something's walked away from you. You know someone, it could be excuse me, has walked away from you. And the advice is the universe will catch you, which it tends to do, especially when you take a bit of a direction into, you're not quite sure where you're going, but you're making some kind of movement. And then the second card you had was align your life. And this came up on the looking to new horizons, turning your back on something, or having someone turn their back on you, and the sneaking away after much mental conflict. You had align your life. What is not aligned needs to change. So if you feel out of alignment, if you feel that your priorities are all mixed up, you don't know what they are at the moment. You see this face here, it's a lovely illustration. She's sort of shattered and fragmented, which is a very nice illustration to show lack of alignment. You know, all the pieces are there, but they're not sort of in the right place. They're not aligned. And perhaps you need to ask yourself about what you need to change in your life at the moment, especially as we're entering 2020. As I said, what we set up for ourselves at the beginning of this new decade sets the scene, if you like, sets the tone for the next 35-year cycle. So now would be a very, very wise time to align your life. The other thing, next to the Strength card, and it can be very hard to be strong and feel that you're always being strong all the time. It is tiring. And it says deep replenishment, retreat, rest and be held. So that's a beautiful card, isn't it? And it could be a case of retreating from the world for a little bit, just getting away, just closing out the white noise, just spending some time in solitude, spending some time in meditation, spending some time for yourself, with yourself, in a place of retreat and restfulness. And sometimes just by doing that, Gemini, just by getting back into you, going back home to you, you find that you start to see and understand address the balances in your life, and how to align yourself to feel more whole again. Because this figure, this face, she doesn't look very whole, does she? She needs to pull back, rest, retreat, realign. And that's your advice, Gemini. I'm going to pull you right now a rune. And these are really beautiful things. This is an very old Viking tradition. It was a Viking means of mediumship, I think, if you like. It was it's a very ancient craft of devising, and they're lovely because the symbols are associated with gods, deities, demigods, characters from Viking mythology and Viking culture. And I'm just going to get you one now, and I will read it for you. I pulled this today for myself, fun enough. Ah, that's right. Answers. Look how answers. Look, if you can see that. It's really lovely, isn't it? It looks like an F backwards and a bit wonky. Backwards, no, just wonky. Answers, signals, and it's the messenger rune, which is interesting because Gemini is ruled by Mercury, which is Mercury is the messenger of the gods, and that's why Mercury is also known as the planet of communication that rules Gemini. Usually what makes Geminis very good communicators, being ruled by Mercury. And so this answers corresponds with the more modern astrological, if you like, Western astrology of the planet Mercury ruling Gemini. And it says signals, messengers, the messenger rune, and associated with god Loki. And Loki, the god Loki, is the equivalent to Mercury, the planet of communication. And the key word is receiving messages, signals and gifts. Even this could be a timely warning. And if someone gives you a timely warning, perhaps you need to receive that as a gift, because warnings, can also be gifts. Somebody might say something that triggers, you can think, oh, what's the warning about? And it could be somebody gifting you with that warning because perhaps you've been a bit confused. There's confusion in and around something, and a warning is a gift. Now, this is being called the messenger rune. So if this messenger brings holy knowledge, then it means that you are blessed. Put effort into every meeting, visit, and accidental encounter. Be especially attentive and aware, in particular with people that are wiser than yourself. And think of all the positive aspects of anything unfortunate. So to me, that's as if it's saying, even if you have some bad news or somebody tells you something that's to warn you or alert you, take that too as it can be positive. Because that particular thing or that particular message you might receive, even though you don't like that particular message, maybe isn't a very favourable thing to hear. Consider that it's also a positive thing, because it also might be something that helps to get you out of confusion or some situation that you're confused about, and decisions that you're being presented with that you feel a little bit stuck choosing the right thing to do. So it's to say, if there are messages coming in for you, know that in whichever way they come in, whether they sound good or sound bad, there's still a positive, because it might often be something you just need to hear. Anyway, Gemini, I hope this was helpful to you in some way. And there were some messages in here that have been helpful. I really hope that. And enjoy the beginning of 2020. Be safe. Be good. Be real. And take a lot of care of yourself, especially at this time of year when there's a lot of lurgies and bugs and viruses going around. Take special care of yourself. Love yourself first. And I'll see you next time. Lots of love. As I said, take care. Bye. See you soon.